Recorded live, it's Roster Roast. Today we're going to be viewing Warriors War Defense, but before that, I wanted to talk a little bit about how the war meta is kind of changing. And if you're in a mid to late game alliance, you're coming up on where you're doing full clears now. And what that means for your war defense is that you're switching from a completely aggressive posture where you're actually wanting to put in some good solid defense in there. But the trick is you want to get people to flub up on their attacks. You don't need a lot of defensive victories. You just need one or two, because in the late game, when you're getting full clears, everybody knows the meta defenses. Everybody knows what those counters are. And they can just look and see, do I have the TCP to pull this off? Is my collection power big enough to accompany for this specific dynamic of defense? And so what people are doing nowadays is they're switching things up and they're making these hybrid defenses. Like with Asgardians not working very well anymore because of symbiotes coming to the game, I stripped my Asgardians apart. I put Loki and Hela on my Merc team, the Mercenary Guardians or Merc Guardians or whatever you want to call them. I don't know. There's also some new hybrids with the Dad Bros, as Mobile Gamer likes to call them, Shatterstar and Longshot, putting them on teams that have high crit probabilities. That would be mine is Shield. And what happens is these things, you come across these, you're not used to seeing this, and you make a mistake, and you're going to get one defensive victory out of them. And that's what people are trying to do, because at the high end level of the game, all you want to do is slow your opponent down. It's a race to full clear. Now, for our alliance, we're more of a mid-game level. We almost never full clear. I don't think we ever have full cleared. So we still use the standard meta defenses because we come across a lot of people that still don't know how to defeat those. And that's a great way to play. But what I'm finding out now is at the mid to lower level, you want to strip out your defense and go with a stronger offense. But for the sake of Roster Roast, we're going to be going over our meta defenses, the standard ones, and grading them A to F on their power levels, the people that you're using, the placement, and their ISO weights. So let's jump into it. Warriors team number 1 is the Asgardians with Drax. Now, Drax is what people are putting in there to stop the symbiotes from running amok with this team. It's a good way to save them. He's replaced Drax with Thor. So I imagine Thor is probably being used on the Avengers. We can check that later. Let's look at power levels here. He's got one killer, Hela. Now that's great. And I like the rest of the power levels on this. Loki could be brought up a little bit more, but he's doing pretty good. And Drax is tough enough to hold off a symbiote attack for a little bit. So I like the power levels. Obviously, the rest of the team could get bigger, but at this point in the game, you probably don't want to make that big of an investment into Asgardians. ISOs. We're missing some ISOs on two people. Drax is going to want to be a healer, and Heimdall is probably going to be either a Raider or a healer. Probably Raider. He has a lot of splash damage and area of attack. Hela, you're going to want to switch her to Raider also. Loki Skirmisher is okay. Sif Skirmisher is okay. She's thick enough, and she's usually the last one to die. You don't need to use Fortifier on her. Usually save Fortifier for the squishier characters. As for placement, I like this placement. We in the Alliance argue about Asgardian placement a lot, but I like this one. I think it's pretty good. All in all, this is actually a really good, a good way to save this team with Drax in it in the current state of play. So I think maybe bring up some of those power levels. Otherwise, it's a good team. Fix those, fix your ISOs. I'm gonna give this one I'm gonna give this a C+. Probably would have got into the B if you had the ISOs on there. All right, moving along. Team number 2 is the old school Sinister Six. I don't like Rhino on the end. You're missing some ISOs. Raider on Vulture is good. Skirmisher. I would rather see maybe Striker on Shocker. Yeah, so your ISOs are screwed up. Power levels are even across the board. That's good. Your placement's bad. I like Doc Ock on this team, of course. Hopefully you'll unlock him tonight, I believe, right? I'm gonna give you a C- for this one, just because Doc Ock's the way to go, and your placement is bad. Okay, moving on to the next one. Team number 3 is the Mercenaries. You're using the Shuri and Killmonger variant. This is a really good variant. People say it's the best. People say it's the worst version and that you should use straight Mercenaries. But I like this one. It gives you long-lasting effect in it. Like we talked earlier, at the lower to mid-level of war play, you need teams that are going to survive a long, long time. Because you're going to have a lot of people that don't know what they're doing coming across them, and you need them to be able to heal up faster than this team can do without Shuri. So I like this variant. Shuri's really powerful, so she's not going down anytime soon. That's good. You definitely need to bring up your power level on Bullseye, because Bullseye is, well, he's going to get knocked down below 50% with an X-Force team, and that's just going to start a domino effect and destroy this. So if somebody knows what they're doing, comes at him with X-Force, Negasonic's going to knock him under 50%, and just start a roll, and you don't want that to happen. Let's see. Isos, Raider is good. Skirmisher, that's okay. You want healer on Shuri. No, that's not okay. You want healer on Shuri. Healer on Lieutenant is good. Striker is good for him. You can also do Skirmisher and put Striker on Bullseye, and do those combos with those guys. Actually, you know what? Get rid of Bullseye and get Merc Riot Guard in here. Yeah, you want Merc Riot Guard. He's part of the trio that works in here. I don't like Bullseye in this spot. He's good if you're using him in place of these two, but yeah. So fix that. Get the right person in there. I bet your Merc Riot Guard probably has some pretty decent power too, especially compared to Bullseye. Nobody builds up Bullseye. So your placement, once you get Merc Riot Guard in here, you're going to change your placement around, I think. You're going to probably put Skirmish, or excuse me. You're going to put Taskmaster on the end with Riot Guard here, and then Lieutenant here, and Shuri and them on the end. So, okay. So fix your placement. Fix this ISO especially. Get Bullseye out of there for Riot Guard. I'm going to give you a D+ on this because you got the wrong person in there. That upsets me. I don't like that. Otherwise, yeah, you get that Riot Guard in there. That's going to be a pretty good team. All right, moving on. Shield with Coulson and Fury. Let's look at your placement. Is terrible. Your placement is terrible. You want Coulson next to Shield Security, and you want Medic as far away from Security as possible. And then it doesn't really matter where you put the other ones. Probably put Fury adjacent to Medic, so she's getting more energy and heals. I think he has some sort of adjacent energy that dribbles around to people. So do that. Yeah. Get some ISOs on this team. Obviously, it's a low-level team, so you're not investing in it heavily. Your power levels are wonky because you used Fury for some campaign event, I'm guessing. Yeah, get your power levels up. Get ISOs on there. Get your placement fixed. This is a D-. Moving on. Red Skull Hydra team. I like the Red Skull Hydra team. They're a cheeseball team that requires a decent counter. Your power levels are close. If you could get this team up to 200k to ensure that they're bringing in Inhumans and forcing them to use their Inhumans on it, that would be better. Spend your power on the minions, not Red Skull. And I think we need to change your placement. You need to... What did we decide for this? We want Red Skull, then Armored Guard, then Sniper, and then the other two. So swap out, I think this is Scientist right here. So swap out Scientist and Armored Guard is what you want for the proper placement. Get some ISOs on here. You could put full healer on this team. You could put full fortifier on this team. It doesn't matter. This is a junk team. You don't want to think about it too much. You basically just want them to use their Inhumans on it so that they can't build hybrid offensive teams with Black Bolt. Without the ISOs and the bad placement, I'll give you a C+ on this. Only because your power levels, you're pretty close to a team that requires some effort to attack. Oh, wow. Here's one we don't see very often. Fantastic Four on defense with She-Hulk. Okay, so She-Hulk's power needs to be brought up, obviously. Let's see. Healer for Invisible Woman. Yeah, you could do that. You could also do Skirmisher. I like the skirmisher and strikers on these guys. That creates some interesting combos. There's a lot of assisting going on. Ooh, 7 red star on Johnny. Wow, that's nice. Yeah, bring up your power levels on She-Hulk. I think you should change her from Raider. I think you should do something else. I'm not sure what else, though. Healer? Does she have a fat health bar? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, bring up your power levels. This is a B-. I like that team. Good job. Let's see here. It's a Kree team. You're doing what you can with what you got. I see that. This is a garbage team, basically. I think that you should take Captain Marvel off of this team, build her up, and put her someplace else, like maybe a Hero Brawlers team or something like that. This team isn't going to require anybody to do any amount of thinking at all. I mean, maybe if you had this team like really built up, and it's not worth building up. You know, she is what would make this team scary if she was built up, and the rest of them too. But this is a junk team. Yeah, get her off of there. Use her on offense and build her up a little bit. Otherwise, you can keep it as a junk team. It's a D. You don't have ISOs on it. You're not putting anything in it. You don't want to. You want to save your resources for offense. But it's a D for this team. And for the last team is Emmarauders. Ooh, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Here we go. All right, so I'm surprised that you have Mystique all the way at the other end. Normally people put Emma out there with Sinister and then Mystique, but this placement works still. It still works. You like Healer on Strife, and I can't argue against it. Fortifier is your other choice. 7 red stars Sinister. Man, I'm so jealous. Oh, want that. And 6 red stars on Mystique too. Power her up. Get that last star on Mystique, man. Let's see. You got Skirmisher, Striker on those guys. Healer on Emma. Hey, I can't find fault with this team. Power levels are great. You just need to build up Sabretooth a little bit and get the star level on her. So I'm going to say A- on this team. If you just bring up the power levels on those 2 Marauders there, you know, get the star on her and Sabretooth, and just bring your power levels up a little bit. This is a great team. Good job on that one. A- for there. All right, this has been Warriors Roster Roast. If you like what you saw, give me a like, subscribe if you want. I'm going to be putting out more of these videos. And I stream every Monday morning, 9 to noon on Twitch. Thanks for joining us. Remember, don't just have a good game, be good to each other. Thanks.